How good are Hornady's 153 grain 6.5 millimeter A-tip bullets? In this video, we're gonna put them to the test. Gavin here from ultimatereloader.com. I have been testing a ton of 6.5 related components lately. Cases, bullets, powders. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And recently I was testing Winchester Sta-Ball 6.5. This is an exciting new temperature stable powder from Winchester, and it's right there in that Creedmoor class burn rate range, but it's a little bit on the slower side. So my prior testing with 140 grain bullets didn't really bring out its full potential. So I thought to myself, I need to test something with this powder in 6.5 Creedmoor, something more in the 150 to 160 grain range to take advantage of that slower burn rate. Enter Hornady's 153 grain A-tip bullets. If you're not familiar with A-tip, this is Hornady's flagship bullet. They've got aluminum tips that are very consistent and not susceptible to any heat-related issues. They are handcrafted. They're packaged in a way that preserves their full potential. It's really elegant stuff. And if you haven't already seen it, you're going to want to check out my tested story on Hornady's 6.5 millimeter 135 grain A-tip bullets. Great for something like 6.5 Grendel. Great for something in the lighter weight range for something like 6.5 Creedmoor. Now we're going to push bullets that are heavier with an even higher BC. What we're going to do in this story is do some laboratory testing, and then I'm going to talk about my load development and shooting results. Let's get to it. Let's talk about lab testing. I absolutely love this. Literally white glove type testing. I started with weight consistency testing. I'm using my new A&D EJ54 D2 scale from Cambridge Environmental. This thing is ridiculous. It can sense 0.003 of a grain, and it has a USB interface, which it makes it really easy to record the data on the computer. So what I did for all of these tests was I took a lot of 20 of these 153 grain A-tip bullets, and I put them through a variety of tests, starting with the weight consistency testing. Very simple test. Weigh each bullet and take a look at the statistics. The average weight for these bullets, get ready for it, 153.00 grains. That is exceptional accuracy, right? There's a difference between precision and accuracy. Accuracy is how close is it to the actual value it should be. Precision is how consistent is it. That is pretty awesome. The standard deviation on weight was 0.07 grains. This is phenomenal. It's consistent with the results that I got with those 135 grain bullets. And the extreme spread, the total variation was 0.22 grains. Pretty awesome stuff. The second test I did was with some really sensitive micrometers, a 0 to 1 and a 1 to 2 inch. That first test for precision dimensions was bullet diameter. And so what I do for these tests, I took the same 20 bullets and I took 2 diameter measurements, spinning the bullet 90 degrees between each sampling. So we get an average value, and then we also get the consistency of the diameter for each bullet. The average for these was 0.264 and 1/10,000th of an inch. That's very, very close to 264, which is 6.5 millimeters. The standard deviation on diameter was 1/10,000th of an inch. That is pretty insane. And the extreme spread was 3/10,000ths of an inch. So extremely consistent diameter. Then I went on to the length test. And for this, it was just to take each of the 20 bullets, record the length, and then take a look at the data. The average length of these bullets was 1.5104 inches. We had a standard deviation of 8/10,000ths of an inch, so less than 1/1000th of an inch. And the length measurement is not nearly as critical as either the weight or the diameter, in my personal opinion. Extreme spread was 3.1 of an inch. So these bullets are some of the most consistent that I've tested, but I know what you're wondering. How do they shoot? We're going to talk about that next. So for load development, I decided to follow a methodology very similar to what Brian Litz recommended to me, and that's to start at max and potentially to go a little bit over max. Disclaimer, do not use any of this data. Do not go over max charge weight. I chose to do this. I was watching for pressure signs. I can't guarantee that you will be safe or your firearm will be safe if you do so. So anyways, back to Brian's methodology. Take max or over max, work your way down a little bit, and then shoot groups at certain charge weight increments. It's kind of like optimal charge weight, favoring that upper end of the spectrum there. So for Winchester Stayball 6.5 and for these 153 grain bullets, Winchester's data maxed out at 42.9 grains. I chose to go all the way to 43.4. So what I did was I did 5 different groups. I started at 42.6 and I worked my way up to 43.4. I never saw any pressure signs here. The rifle I'm using is the rifle with the Zeus, Terminus Zeus action. I've got the foundation stock, and I just got a proof pre-fit barrel that I broke in as a part of this project and then went through the load development exercise. So this is a step up from the Ruger Precision Rifle 6.5 Creedmoor that you've seen here on the channel. And what I was looking at here was what was my average velocity and what was my standard deviation on the velocity and what kind of accuracy did I get. I started with 3-shot groups. And we'll show you the data here. There were a couple groups, the charge weights, that stood out. The first one was at 43 grains, which was right around max there. I got 0.533 inch group for the 3 shots, 2,730 feet per second, and an SD of 6.5 on the velocity. That looked really good. But then I looked at the 43.2 grain charge weight. I had a 3-shot group of 0.262 inches, a velocity of 2743, which is outstanding. Usually with a 140 grain bullet, I get 2,700 feet per second. I think that's really good. And this is a 153 grain bullet. The SD was 12.1 feet per second for that 3-shot group. Now that's worth some further testing. And at 43.4, where we maxed out, I had a 0.639 inch group with a velocity of 2741. So I actually went down just a little bit. It means we're kind of on a node there, somewhere on an SD of 9.1 feet per second. So that was an interesting exercise to do the load workups. I did all of the powder charge weights on an A&D FX120i precision scale. I'm losing Lapua brass here, and all really good components. This was also using virgin brass. This was not reloaded brass. So 3-shot groups is a good initial indicator of the kind of results that you're going to get with a particular rifle and a particular load and configuration. But what I really like to do is take the initial results and then follow that up with 5-shot group testing. So I want to show you my follow-up on the 43.2 grain charge weight and the 5-shot group that I shot. I'll show you that now. So that 5-shot group that I just showed you, and this was shooting with mild to moderate heat boil, measured 0.350 inches for those 5 shots. Very happy with that. Any PRS competitor that I've talked to feels like that's as good or better than what you would need for something like a serious PRS competition. Virgin brass, I didn't do any bullet seating depth variation. I did figure that I was 20 thousandths off the lands, so I was seating it a little bit beyond the typical bullet seating depth. And that's a good initial guess. So what I'm guessing is, if I got even more meticulous with my shooting, better shooting conditions with no heat, mirage, and so on and so forth, waiting for things to cool down a little bit, shoot fire-formed brass, and vary some of the other parameters like the bullet seating depth, we could potentially see that go down even further. Not that I feel the need for that with this type of a rifle for this type of shooting. Plenty good for 1,000-yard work. What I would like to do is do a little bit more shooting to figure out what the SD could look like. And so that's where additional load development will come in handy. But what I can tell you is these bullets shoot absolutely phenomenal. While I had the rifle out, I thought I would see how would this rifle do at 650 yards. I have a prone shooting area right next to the 100-yard range and micro cabin up there on the Ultimate Reloader ridgetop range. And so I loaded up 10 additional rounds, and I'll show you a quick sequence here. I had some extreme sunlight. You'll notice I have this foundation hat sitting sideways, cockeyed on my head, but I thought I would see if I could do a few in a row on the steel target. Here's that sequence. So there you go, my hands-on testing with Hornady's 153 grain A-tip bullets. I think these bullets are a great choice for something like PRS, for ELR. I'm hoping to take these out to a mile. I'm still getting that range set up here at the Ultimate Reloader Ranch. I had a great time doing this testing. If you have specific insights or experiences that you'd like to share about these bullets, please drop a comment. That's it for this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the content I've got coming up. Also, links down in the video description. I'm on Patreon and I've got Ultimate Reloader shirts at the Ultimate Reloader store. Any support that you show is most appreciated. Thank you again for watching. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.